And so this is what's been happening. We have been sold on a plan that is no longer working. Where are you at right now in your PhD? Are you in your final year? Are you at the point where you are preparing for your comprehensive exam? Or have you already taken your comprehensive exam and now you're thinking about, what do I got to do to apply for graduation? What am I going to do after graduation? Which point are you in your PhD? Well, I understand that process. As soon as I finished my comprehensive exam, I was so lost. I didn't know what I was going to do after my PhD. I knew that I still had at least 2 more years after my comprehensive exam, but I was quite fearful because there was so much competition out there. And I felt like, well, I had already spent so much time, I already spent so much energy, I already spent so much money on my PhD that it would be a shame if I didn't apply my knowledge, right? And so my PhD was in neuroscience and my whole background was in the life sciences. So I had my whole academic career was in the STEM fields. And I felt that if I wasn't successful at staying in academia, and at that time I thought I wanted to become a faculty member, I felt that I would be a failure. Right? Because there's so much pressure on PhD students to have a faculty position. There's so much pressure for us to land positions within academia because we feel that that is the epitome of success. Right? So in this video, what I want to share with you is the things that I wish I knew after college, right? Specifically, career advice after your PhD. The first thing is to engage your enthusiasm. If you look at the word PhD, PhD is Doctor of Philosophy. The Greek word for PhD means love of wisdom. It means that when we are doing our PhD, we are committed in these years to master a topic that's really in our interest. Because there's no sense in spending so much time and so much effort if we're not interested in what we're doing, if we're not remotely passionate about what we're doing, right? We only have time is like the most valuable resource that we have. How dare we not enjoy what we do, right? How could we afford not to enjoy what we do? So here's the thing, when I was doing my PhD, there was so much time spent in a dark room in a microscope looking and counting my cells. I mean, how many of you can relate with that, right? And I found out in around the time that I was studying for my comprehensive exam, before I even wrote it, that I didn't enjoy what I was doing. I mean, I enjoyed the questions that I was answering, and I wanted to contribute to the body of knowledge in medical literature, but I didn't like the day-to-day. Right? And so that was when I realized that I didn't want to continue in research. I didn't want to continue in wet lab research. Right? So this is for you. My advice for you is that what I wish I knew before college was to engage my enthusiasm. Because one of the most powerful things that you have is your enthusiasm. When you are enthusiastic about something, you will be more committed to that thing. When you are enthusiastic about something, time will just pass you by and you will apply yourself in ways that you never thought about. When you are in enthusiastic energy, when you have that energy of enthusiasm, that is when you are most creative and innovative at solving problems as well. So that is my advice to you. If you are in a situation right now in your PhD like I was, if you're not enthusiastic about what you're doing, then think about what you can do after your PhD and don't feel upset if that means you are pivoting, if that means you are changing direction, because it is better to find out sooner than later. The second advice is to stack your skills. You see, the number one mistake that a lot of recent PhD graduates make is that they overemphasize and they focus only on their technical skills. But you are not your technical skills. There are other skills that you have learned in your PhD, right? Technical skills was what was the most highly emphasized during your degree, and that's the case for any degree as well, right? Because the education system focuses on the technical knowledge, and so we think that that's all we have to offer. But if you stack your skill sets, technical skills being one of them, and you stack other skills that you've learned, well, maybe you had some experience with communication. Maybe you had some experience with project management. Maybe you had some experience with managing stakeholder relationships. Something like that. If you stack skills on top of the other, that is where your unique selling proposition lies. When you stack your skill set, it increases your perceived value. It increases the value that other people perceive that you can put into the marketplace. And that's really what sells. And that is really the place at which you can create your own category and at which you can have no competition. Right? It is in the way that you stack your skills. But you got to first recognize and perceive the value of your knowledge, and also being able to identify other skills that you have learned outside of your technical skills, right? And so remember this, your PhD is part of your education. It is not your only education. And I understand that we spend like 3 to 5 to 7 years in some countries on our PhDs, and that can feel like all of our education. But remember, that is formal education. There's another part of education that is self-education, and that is the larger part of our personal and professional development, right? So think about your PhD as part of your education. It may not be the most important part, it may not be the most transformative part, but it was part of your education. But if you expand that circle to include other things that you have learned, then that is where you can make yourself unique and competitive in the marketplace. The third thing is price the payoff. Right? You will be hired for your special talents. You will be hired for your knowledge and education. You will also be hired for your expertise. And here's the thing. I've spoken to a lot of recent graduates or soon-to-be graduates, and they hesitate with in terms of salary because they feel like, well, I don't have work experience yet. I have been in college all this time. I don't think I can charge a lot for what I do. I don't think I gotta settle for, you know, lowest entry. But I just gotta take what comes to me because I don't have work experience. But here's the thing, you got to realize that what you're selling is not your education. You're not selling only your education. You're not selling only your expertise. What you are doing is you are charging the worth. Charging the worth. What does that mean? The worth is, what is it worth to a company that you're about to go into or to a person that you're about to partner with? What is it worth to them for you to be able to produce the payoff that they're looking for? You are charging, what you are selling is the payoff that you can get. Because with all your skills, talents, with all your knowledge and experience right now, you're able to help someone to get an outcome they desire. And that's their payoff. And that is what you are looking for. You are looking at pricing the payoff. Right? And remember, the language that a lot of people use when they're looking for a job is that I want to be charged my worth. I want to be paid my worth. But here's the thing, your worth is priceless. You are priceless because you have a high intrinsic value. You are priceless. So people actually can't afford you because you are priceless. So what you are actually charging for, what you're actually getting paid for is the worth, not your worth. The next thing is to purge the programming. You see, at a very young age, we have been programmed by the education system that in order to have success in life, we've got to go to school, get good grades, so that we can get into a good college. And then when we get to a good college, we got to get good grades there so that we can apply for a job and get a job at a good company. And if we work for at least 40 hours a week in that company, we work for the next 40 years, and then maybe that company will take care of us when it is time to retire. And so this is what's been happening. We have been sold on a plan that is no longer working because a lot of companies now, they are getting rid of full-time jobs. Full-time jobs are disappearing, and the marketplace, the economy is pausing as well because of COVID-19, and there are a lot of setbacks in the economy, a lot of layoffs, a lot of outsourcing, because it actually makes sense for companies to outsource. It is actually cheaper and more flexible and more efficient for them to do it that way, right? And so there's a lot of pressure on us as PhD students that we must have a faculty position, that we must stay within the academic walls, that we must become tenured, and that is the definition of success. Because in academia, becoming a professor seems like it is the model of success. But I submit to you that there is no epitome of success other than the one that you make your own. So I encourage you to define your own success. Purge that programming and reprogram it with a different operating system that serves you. If you don't want to be a professor, if you don't feel like this is the right thing for you, like I did during my PhD, I didn't enjoy the day-to-day task of research. And that's how I knew that there was no way I would be happy becoming a professor. There was no way I would be happy working in a lab. If that is you, then to be encouraged to define your own success. Because only you are living your own life. Only you get to determine what is success for you. Because in the end of the day, what we are looking for is to creating daily experiences of success. And that's what fulfillment is. When you can create for yourself a path that gives you every day an experience of success. And no organization, no authority, can do that for you. No institution can do that for you. Success first comes from defining what exactly that looks like for you and then planning the path to get there. The next thing is learn how to earn. You see, PhDs are highly skilled people, and yet most of them are not highly paid. Why is that? It's because universities spend hardly any time on how to make money. They spend little time teaching us how to make money, if at all, right? So the university, colleges, they are great at teaching you all the subject matter. So if you majored in neuroscience like I did, you learn all about the brain, you learn all about the nervous system. And yes, they teach you all the subject matter knowledge, but there is absolutely no time spent in the classroom on how to turn that knowledge into wisdom, how to offer that wisdom into the marketplace, how to package it and position it, and then therefore create wealth. So one thing that I would submit to you is it is very important to spend this time to learn how to create wealth for yourself. Wealth that you can provide for yourself, and wealth so that you can provide for people you care about, and wealth that can help you to build that legacy you want to build in the future, right? Because it is very important for you in your career to learn how to create wealth so that you are not submitting to other people's definition of what wealth is, right? You get to write your own ticket instead of acquiescing to, okay, this is what your salary is going to be, this is what you're going to earn, and then wondering why you're not being paid your worth and feeling undervalued and underappreciated. Learn how to create wealth. Spend that time to do that. You see, a lot of people believe that the whole purpose of education is just to learn, is just to collect knowledge. But that is not true. The purpose of learning is not to collect knowledge. The purpose of learning is mastery. When you master the skills on creating wealth for yourself, that is where you can be successful and you can have enough abundance, just not only to have blessings, but you can have enough abundance to also be a blessing to others. The next thing is to choose your vehicle. You see, we all have a destination. We all have a place where we want to be. We're at a place right now and we know where we want to be, and there's a gap in between. So you got to choose your vehicle that will take you there. So now that the previous five pieces of advice that I shared with you, right? So now if you have considered them, you understand where you are enthusiastic, you understand where you are passionate, you understand what your purpose is here, you understand your proclivity, you understand what you are good at, and now you are making a commitment to build wealth, right? So now it is about choosing the right vehicle to build wealth. You see, a lot of people think that, okay, now I am about to finish my PhD, or I finished my PhD. The only thing that we know how to do is to get a job. We've been programmed that the only way to build wealth for ourselves is to get a job. But how many people, through getting a job and working hard in that job, have really built true wealth for themselves? But the thing about having a job is that we are locked in with our time. What we're doing essentially when we have a job is we are trading a lot of our time for just a little bit of our employer's money, for just a little bit of the company's money. And so we are programmed to think that working harder means that we can improve our lives. But is that really true? How much is working harder at a job going to get us closer to the vision of our future that we want, to the vision of the wealth that we want to create, right? So if you want to create that wealth and you are committed to do so, you have to choose the right vehicle, right? And if getting a job is going to get you a certain income level, maybe you've been scouring the job postings, you can see, and you've been looking at salary.com or glassdoor.com, and you can see the industry averages for the salaries that you want, and sometimes it can be quite appalling. Right? And I had this problem too. I mean, how many of you have scoured the job postings and you found that not a single one speaks to your soul, right? And that's not for the lack of looking either. I have looked for years during my PhD right after I wrote my comprehensive exam, looking for what am I going to do after this PhD, looking for a job. Not a single job description really spoke to my soul. So if that's you and you are committed to creating wealth, you are committed to engaging in your enthusiasm, then I submit to you that your opportunity might lie in creating your own business, in starting your own business by selling your expertise online, because you have knowledge that is extremely valuable. You are highly skilled, you are highly educated, and believe it or not, you have expertise. Even if you have been in college this whole time, you have experience that is valuable. You can produce an outcome to somebody based on your talents and the experience and the expertise that you have. So if you are curious and you want to learn more, how do I start my own business? Here's the thing, you don't need to have an MBA. You don't need to have a good business idea. You just have to recognize and perceive the value of your knowledge. And if you're curious, what does that look like? What are the strategies? How do I get started? Then I have a gift for you. I've created a training for people like you who want to know how to get started, who want to kind of explore what are the strategies so that you can have more clarity on what does this look like and make a better decision. So if you're curious and you want to learn more, then I invite you to visit this link, masteryinsights.com/free gift. and that is my free training. It is the exact strategy that I teach to my clients on how they can change their careers and start their own businesses from anywhere. And it is also the same strategy that I use right after my PhD to start my coaching business. So if you want to access training, and it is a free gift to you, there's no charge, just go to masterinsights.com/free gift, and I'll see you on the inside. And here's one more for free. There's one more thing I want to share with you before I end this video. How many of you want to know the common denominator of success? If you look at the most successful people out there, entrepreneurs, employees, managers, the most successful people out there who are just killing it and taking names while they're doing it, there is one thing that all of them do in common, and here's what it is that they take ownership of the result before they know the path. They take ownership of the result before they even know what the next step is or the next step after that is, right? And so here's the thing, here's what this means. Most people, before they get started in doing something, before they get started on a journey, they want to know all the steps. They want to know everything before they get started. But life doesn't work that way. You have to start taking action before you can start to learn. And while you are in action, it's the best environment for learning, because then you can experience feedback right away and you can iterate. You can experience challenges right away. And in overcoming those challenges, you develop your own proprietary strategies on how you overcome the strategies. And those are the same principles that you can teach other people, right? So own the result before you know the path. Right? So if you want to get started, if you want to take your career to the next level after your PhD, and you recognize the value of the knowledge that you have, and you are ready to sell your expertise online to create wealth for yourself, to create wealth for people in abundance, wealth for yourself, and create more abundance so that you can share blessings to other people, then I invite you to go to my free training. Again, the link is below this video. I'll see you on the inside.